Everything's fine here. We're having music festivals, and you wouldn't believe what life is like during wartime.
A lot of the people with large followings, it doesn't mean that they actually have the expertise and the ability to talk on the subject.
The western part of the country has the ability to have the average Sunday like this because of the Ukrainian military fending off Russians at the front.
The person said, like, don't make Zelensky out into a hero. And actually, I don't. But I also understand that I'm never talking to Ukrainians.
We have an opportunity to show the flower growing out of the concrete, right?
It's a TV show about a teenage girl who can't choose between two brothers. So one of the actors who plays one of the brothers is a Trump supporter.
I'm noticing a terrifying trend of people being unable to separate reality from fiction.
Take away the fact that they're vampires, but no one gave a fuck about how toxic both of these men were to this woman.
Yeah.
It was just like one hot brother and another hot brother, and we were just worried about whose abs she was going to end up with.
It's true.
What are we yapping about today, Rima?
We're yapping about lots of things. So remember that reel I sent you of an influencer that was super bothering me because they misrepresented what the average Sunday during a wartime is in Ukraine. And it was like the most tone deaf reel I've ever seen.
I mean, it was looking for specifically that reaction, and it does a lot more
1000%.
harm than good. So
Absolutely.
I guess today we're going to be talking about pop culture's greatest and floppiest moments and how it affects the war, and also just like in general, you know?
Definitely. I mean, rage bait, even from our side, happens all the time.
Yeah, a lot. Well, so again, and I think on this podcast this season, we've talked a lot about like the online presence and things like that,
Definitely.
because both of us have quite a bit of it, and not just professionally, but like for ourselves. So we get to like experience a lot of it. But so from the beginning of the full-scale invasion, and I stand by it, I have always said, please follow Ukrainians more than you follow foreigners when it comes to
I agree.
when it comes to like the facts about Ukraine and living in Ukraine and Ukraine in general, because at the end of the day, like, even if foreigners are here and even if they're doing like amazing things, right, they have never experienced Russia's genocide against Ukrainians because they're not Ukrainian. However, in your case, for instance, like, you know what Russia has done to Lithuanians, right?
Right. So it's a shared experience. There's only
yeah.
so far we can share that experience, like as foreigners. But if we're Eastern European in our roots, like me, then it becomes an extra level of being able to share that experience. But I completely agree with you. Any other foreigner, there's like a line where like, yes, you can live here and you can share a lot of those experiences, but it's not always going to be at the same level.
Yeah, but with that said, basically, like, a lot of Ukrainians have gained larger than life followings, and I mean millions of followers in the beginning of the full-scale invasion because they were showing what was going on. But a lot of those Ukrainians don't have A, media training, B, geopolitical training, C, like, training in these kinds of spheres, and they get invited to like incredible events like NATO events and EU events, and they get like their like doors open to these like insane offices in these very closed off spaces, and that gives people trust in them. But again, I want to say that, like, for sure follow Ukrainians, but you need to kind of like differentiate between what Ukrainians you just follow to see things that are happening on the ground and what Ukrainians you follow for commentary. Because a lot of the people with large followings, it doesn't mean that they actually have the expertise and the ability to talk on the subject. And a lot of the times they do more harm than good, and they open the door for foreigners to start sharing similar information because, well, hey, a Ukrainian did it. And that plays into like the thing that you were talking about.
Well, because that was sent to me by other Americans, several of them. And they're like, that aren't here. And they're like, is this actually what it's like in Ukraine? Like, where's the war at? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, it's still there. This is just a very large misrepresentation of, and I said, don't forget, the western part of the country has the ability to have the average Sunday like this because of the Ukrainian military fending off Russians at the front.
Yeah.
Like, that's not because there's no war. It's because men and women are putting their lives on the line, making the ultimate sacrifice, defending the nation So you can have that music festival and that average Sunday. But the problem is that reel completely ignores that fact and makes it this vapid, like, well, everything's fine here. We're having music festivals, and you wouldn't believe what life is like during wartime. Oh, like it successfully enraged me. I was very angry, and I wrote back to this person. I said, "This is not an accurate representation of what is happening here. There are missiles flying in the West, even more than there ever used to be." I said, "This is not. I don't understand what the aim of this particular influencer is, but I can tell you right now that this is a misrepresentation of the situation," and it really bothered me.
Well, I think because in a lot of cases, a lot of specifically like people that come from the influencer background, because again, a lot of the people in Ukraine that did gain large international followings were influencers before the war. And they already knew how to like use the camera and how to show what's happening, right? And they were like in Kharkiv or in cities that have been bombed significantly. So they were just using their knowledge of what they were doing before to show that, right? And their followings blew up and skyrocketed, but now in a different niche. And so a lot of the times I think it's very irresponsible because they don't put thought into the things they post. And they've also like branched out into the niche of talking about what's happening, but from like giving their opinions as facts, not opinions. And there is also this like internal divide in a sense where like there are certain people, like we've discussed in a previous episode, that I would call porokhoboty, who like, you know, have this like cult of personality love for Poroshenko and like hate everything that Zelensky does, and they put that mindset and that opinion out into the world as the Ukrainian opinion, but it isn't, right? So it's like there is a fine line between like filtering sort of who you watch and who you take as an example. Because in a lot of cases, I also see that the more followers you have, the more credible people take you as.
Yeah, of course.
And there are lots of foreign amazing people that do great work for Ukraine that are friends with such influencers and that lift them up and support them and mention them in a lot of different, in a lot of their social media and stuff. But the issue is, again, like being able to show just like, you know, an unbiased picture or an unbiased like clip, 3-minute clip or a 1-minute clip of a bomb hitting a building, or, you know, something like that, something that's like something that you can't have a different opinion on, right?
Yeah.
And being able to talk with nuance about geopolitics or politics, even internal politics, are two very different things. And I think that people forget that because of how many followers people have sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess my concern is that this plays a lot into the MAGA crowd's hands, especially our resident favorite commentator, Miss Marjorie, you know, and all the JD Vance and all the other loudmouths out there that are like, well, there's no war happening in Ukraine. Because like this also happened like when there was a big thing on Twitter like a couple of years ago about McDonald's in Kyiv and like how, you know, people going to McDonald's was like, oh, that's where your tax dollars are going, which is hilarious because McDonald's is a corporation. And quite frankly, why would tax dollars anyway? So you know what I'm saying, right? So it kind of just like, it plays into the wrong hands and like it just gives such it's like, don't make the problem worse. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but that's sort of like, that's the issue and that's the danger with like citizen journalism, right? And I think Ukraine has a lot of citizen journalism and it's good. On one hand, it's fantastic, but on the other hand, it does create this like sort of issue where it's not not policed, but it doesn't have like editorials, doesn't have editors, it doesn't have like censorship or filters. And I don't mean in a sense of like bad censorship, but I mean in a sense where like it becomes problematic when a lot of people with no understanding of international politics and how their actions affect their country start sharing their opinions to a very, very large audience. Like, for instance, I think that quite a few influencers that I've seen post these type of like opinions or these types of reels or these types of things, like, for instance, they don't necessarily understand the inner workings of like UK politics or like the US politics. They just get it on the surface level, right?
Yeah.
And they think that this like sort of hate and like whatever is a reason to write like snarky commentary and make jokes about it, but it isn't, because you're giving Russia and MAGA and like, you know, the far right parties ammunition.
Oh, definitely.
And you're doing that single-handedly. And while you're feeding your ego because you think you like had a snarky response or like you did like a cool little shot or a cool little video of like, you know, of these things, you are actually giving that crowd what they are asking for.
Mm-hmm. And in soundbite form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And an easily shareable like thing that can go viral. Yeah. And it goes viral for you. So you're happy. Your ego is happy because this reel or this whatever like story or this tweet has gotten a ton of shares and views. And you suddenly have all of these likes and all of this stuff and your channel is thriving and you're probably monetizing or whatever, right? But but that's not the type of viral you want to be. And that's not the type of stuff that you should be sharing, because if you put yourself... When you put yourself out to such big masses, and I mean, like, I, for instance, have nowhere near the following of the influencers I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, same.
But I still understand the responsibility of the things that I talk about and the things that I say to, like, the public. So, for instance, actually, I want to, like, I'm gonna mention something that I posted on our Instagram, on Unmasking Instagram the other day, which I felt the need to post because, so there were lots of commentary from Ukrainians talking about like our coverage of like, let's say Zelensky and stuff. Mm-hmm. And someone said like, you know, please don't make him out to be a hero though. So I actually, and I'm not giving myself like credit. It's not like I'm like, oh, I have this chip on my shoulder and I think I'm the best at talking about these international things. Like, no, I'm not. But I like do a lot of research and I try to be as responsible as humanly possible when I do that, because I understand how many eyes are on me, and it's not nearly as many eyes as like on other people, right? So the person said like, don't make Zelensky out into a hero. And actually, I don't. I criticize Zelensky when he deserves criticism, and I give him credit where credit is due. But I also understand that I'm never talking to Ukrainians.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking to foreigners and English-speaking people, right? And when I'm talking to Ukrainians in terms of like explaining Ukrainian politics or American politics, it's for Ukrainians to be able to share it. So I hope to sort of like voice the Ukrainian opinion when I can, right? To give someone a tool to spread like in an elegant form and in a very compressed sort of like easily digestible bit, right? And we are English facing. Yeah. So when we're talking about Zelensky, we are working with the information space that's in English, not the information space that's in Ukrainian.
Exactly.
We're not praising him, but we're also giving a balanced coverage of what's happening. Like, for instance, when we were saying that it's great that he heard the people, no one's making him out to be a hero. In that same episode, we also like said that he was garbage at domestic politics, you know?
Yeah. So it's kind of like showing that there's like some cognitive dissonance there.
But we were working with the notion that like the message in the West is that Ukraine is a dictatorship, right?
Yeah.
So the idea was to be like, hey, no, he hears us. This is not a dictatorship. Democracy works. So I think that with that in mind, a lot of these people... And I hate the like these people because it sounds so like derogatory.
Yeah, that's true.
But a lot of these influencers, when they do post their opinion or when they do say these things, they need to remember that they're working with foreign people.
Yeah.
And they need to check foreign information spaces to see if they're not feeding into propaganda and if they're not working for Russia without realizing they're working for Russia.
It's true, because even if it's indirect, it's still helping the wrong side, you know, and it's a hard thing to find balance with too, because like these people are no longer creating content, you're right, just for like a Ukrainian audience. It's become like a viral thing. And so what you say, the nuance that you give, it matters, because every representation of Ukraine, if it's not the actual, because you have so many opportunities to acknowledge what is happening here. You can, you know, put a direct spin on, not spin, but like an acknowledgement of the situation. Like, for example, like one of Masha's reels that stuck with me that I've seen was when she said, I can either go sit in my apartment preparing to die, or I can live every day, you know, not as if someone is not trying to kill me. And I'm, you know, paraphrasing this, but like Masha's take charge of like, I'm going to live my fucking life. And like, yeah, there's a war going on, but I'm going to go to that concert, or I'm going to go get that coffee. I'm going to film the joy among the destruction. There's so much you can do with that. You know what I mean?
But that's where I guess I mean, like, when you carefully select your messaging, like, and you're so right with that, because like you can still post a reel of going to a massive party or going to a rave. Sometimes I see these types of things, like Yulia Tymoshenko is a fantastic influencer.
She's amazing.
She came from like influencing, as in like she was always an influencer. Like, she's a person who's interested in fashion. She has lots of like brand deals. She loves like showing Ukrainian brands. She's also now the head of Spend with Ukraine, and I'm so proud of that because
It's an
she's
amazing initiative.
perfect person for the job. But she's also always been like a cultural ambassador, right?
Right.
And she shares a lot of like her life and matcha and like, you know, her outfits and a lot of that stuff. But she also shares some of the most meaningful messages about the war, right?
Yeah.
And she does that in a very balanced manner. And she's actually said before that, you know, like, because someone asked her, like, how do you actually filter of when it's appropriate and when it's inappropriate, right? And she's like, well, obviously I'm not going to post my outfit and my matcha on a day that like a hospital was hit in Dnipro or something, right? Like, she's like, I always look at the day and like what's been going on in the day, and whether like this day is about heavily talking about Ukraine and things that are happening in Ukraine, or this day I can breathe out and post a latte, you know?
Yeah.
Or like my little morning routine of like trying to stay sane and enjoying my favorite places in Kyiv. And a lot of influencers lack that, because, for instance, I've seen so many times where people would post like a reel or post a story about a massive tragedy in Dnipro or Zaporizhia or Kyiv, and then the next shot is of them like at a pool or drinking or like enjoying a night out. And I get it. Life in Ukraine is about contrasts, for sure.
Yeah,
and it
of
would be
course.
like, it would be, you know, like, you would be lying if you said that like this is not the reality, where in the morning like you were sleeping in a bomb shelter and there were 5 buildings ruined around you, and then in the evening you go to like, I don't know, have a drink with your friends, right? But it's kind of like the read the room type of situation. Like, you can't post about fillers and Botox and like your, I don't know, cosmetology routine, or like your liposuction, or your like freaking like anti-cellulite massage in a story right after the devastation that happened in a city, because it's just tone deaf.
I think there's a lot of like this, there's a hard time finding the balance here, because then you have like other influencers who don't say anything at all. And all they post is like their coffee and their vacations and whatever. The way that I see it is, we have an opportunity to show the flower growing out of the concrete, right? As opposed to being tone deaf, where you're posting the horrific tragedy and then like, here's my poolside cabana, or the ones that are just not even showing it at all and ignore it like it's not even happening. It's so strange to me.
Well, but that's the thing about balance, right? Is that like, and it feels like such a crazy topic, because like I don't necessarily want to like dunk on, you know, my fellow Ukrainians or people or
no, of course not. That's not at all what we're trying to do.
And I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like bitter or shitty or anything like that, because it's a difficult it's a difficult conversation to have. It's like kind of coming to your friend and bringing something to their attention that's been like, I don't know, that they have been doing that's been like hurting you or something, right? Like, it's difficult. But it's one of those things where I guess like some of these influencers that I've seen doing this, I actually know. But I still don't feel right like DMing them and being like, hey, you know, like maybe you would want to reconsider.
You might want to rethink that.
Yeah, because I also don't know them very well, and I don't like necessarily want to sound patronizing or something. So I guess like the plea here is for the people that do watch this content to reconsider how they consume content from Ukraine. Because yes,
agreed,
I believe that you should take Ukrainian testimonies above like any other testimonies, but at the same time, don't put us on pedestal and don't be afraid to.
Oh my God, yeah.
Don't patronize us, because there's a lot of like American splaining and American saviors and like foreign saviors in general. But like,
absolutely,
don't consume certain. When you see that someone is primarily an influencer, primarily just shows like, you know, fun, entertaining things that help Ukraine, do not take their geopolitical commentary seriously. You know, don't take their political commentary seriously, because we all have different niches that we occupy. And like, there are always like good, credible people working for news channels or working for like, you know, for that have expertise in this that you can listen to.
Sure. And I think this is also like harkening back to something that we had talked about earlier, where like you had said that you wanted to be able to start posting about the things in life that make you happy, you know, like your outfit or, you know, going out for dinner with your boyfriend or things like that. And like, I think in year 4 of the war, like everyone's trying to find their way back to like combining normal, as much normal as they can, while still living in an active war zone. And I do understand that to an extent, while not like being a native of this country, from the volunteer into the soldier aspect of it, like I still feel guilty if I post myself in a normal outfit doing normal things, like having a coffee or like having a really good burger because I'm always hungry. Or like, you know, posting a photo of the sausages or something, because I feel like I should be doing more, right? Like it's that same similar mentality of there's still a war going on. Can I actually feel happy or like derive happiness from something without feeling that guilt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And it's
tough.
It's a difficult balance, but the balance needs to be found.
On that note, if you've watched this far, you know what to do. We have memberships now. Like, subscribe, comment, share this with your friends. If you like our yaps as much as we love our yaps, hit that membership button. There are special perks with that membership. It's going to help us get, you know, nicer camera, maybe a third guest.
So you can have a threesome.
Yes. Three's company. Relax over there. Not that kind of threesome. I'm watching you.
Speaking of difficult balance and irresponsible pop culture, this is about time that I actually want to bring up a project that we've agreed as a podcast to ambassador. We've agreed to support. So there is this amazing company called RD&Y, which is so funny because that just sounds like something Department New York. But it is a Ukrainian brand of clothing, and you're actually wearing their t-shirt, and I have their phone case. Yeah. And they've teamed up with the Shadows Project, which is a cultural initiative that basically reaches out to museums worldwide and like stops the appropriation of Ukrainian culture. So for instance, you know, like how a lot of people think that Gogol is Russian or that Kuinji is a Russian artist, or, well, Maria Promochenko, not nearly as much, but there are quite a few Ukrainian artists that are mislabeled in museums worldwide as Russian artists. Yeah. And so the initiative has a lot of different stages of protest, and one of them is the clothing from RD&Y called Wear Your Protest. And one of them is this phone case that I think it's so cute.
This is very cute. I absolutely love that. 100%.
And the other one is your t-shirt.
Yeah, this t-shirt is pretty boss.
Well, you gotta.
I will model
model it.
Shirt. Yes. This is the front of it. It's got this really super cool art right here, and then the back is this design here. Looks good.
Yeah, so it's actually a painting that I believe hangs in the Louvre, and it's mislabeled.
Of course.
As Russian. And the idea of this collection is artivism, so art activism. And all of the proceeds from the sale of these items that we're going to include the links, obviously, in the description, are going to go to the Shadows Project to their fight against this appropriation of the Ukrainian culture. So why is this important now? Because we've all heard that like museums such as the Met and Tate and a lot of others around the world have in fact relabeled Ukrainian Russian artists as Ukrainian, and one of them was the Met. Like the Met, for instance, had, I believe, Malevich, but I might be... check me on that. But basically, they did relabel them to Ukrainian. And one of the first museums that did that and got so much praise for doing that was Tate Modern Art Museum in the UK. And then they went and reversed course, and now Ukrainian artists are again labeled as Russian. Yeah. So the Shadows Project is performing a lot of activism around de-appropriating Ukrainian culture. And so I think for me personally, it's a very important cause, and I really want to support it. And that's why when they reached out and they asked if we could include them and talk about them in our podcast, I was like,
for it.
Hands up for that,
for yes,
sure.
Absolutely.
Because I absolutely, you know, I've seen so many paintings around the world that are Ukrainian that are labeled as Russian artists, and then you go into their biography and it's like born and raised in Kyiv, went to the Kyiv Institute of the Arts.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the, like, we have to take, like, there has to be ownership taken back for like Ukrainian culture 100%. So I think that that's a great initiative. Absolutely.
Yeah. And this collection is actually going to have a bunch of paintings by a bunch of different artists. And it's going to have like a full series with like the phone case, the tote, the t-shirt. And next time we're going to tattoo Rima with one of these. Cause Rima has very few tattoos and really needs some more. I have
so much empty space. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow. Also, don't worry about the bruises, everybody. My students were doing IVs this week, and I was a human pincushion, so no instructors were harmed in the making of these medic students. Just a couple bruises, okay?
Oh, why not domestic violence if domestic violence shaped? I'm kidding. This is such a bad joke.
My poor students are gonna sit there and be like, no.
And they're mostly men, aren't they? Oopsie doopsie. Speaking of pop culture morphing into other things, so there is this TV show that you have heard me talk about nonstop. And
is this the summer that you turned pretty or something, or what have you?
The summer I turned pretty was in the late 2000s.
Would you stop? You are so pretty. Do you know that my mom said, she's like, oh my God, Yulia's so pretty. Has anyone told her that she's so pretty? Like, can I message her and tell her she's really pretty? Aww. So my mom thinks you're very pretty.
Labas.
Oh, she's going to love that. My mom thinks you're so beautiful. She's like, she's so pretty. Yeah, that's so, don't worry.
Thank you.
This is still a summer that you've turned prettier, madam.
How does one say thank you in Lithuanian?
Ačiū.
Ačiū.
It sounds like you're sneezing.
Ačiū.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it does. Ačiū.
Ačiū. Literally.
Pika, pika, Pikachu.
That's how we teach kids how to say ačiū. It's like you pretend like you're sneezing. Ačiū.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have so many like little characters here. Pikachu, Labubu. We should just like
the
make
whole menagerie of characters is here this evening. Yes.
But yeah, how did we get here? So there is this TV show, The Summer That I Turned Pretty, which was many, many years ago, in my personal humble opinion. Anyways. So it's a TV show based on a book. It's a 3-parter, and season 3 just like came out, and apparently all of the older millennial population, which is like women in their 30s, are like losing their everlasting shit over this TV show. And like, mind you, dude, it's a TV show about a teenage girl who can't choose between 2 brothers. Q in Vampire Diaries, Stefan and Damon. By the way, I was Team Damon. Hate me for it. And I'm so happy she ended up with Damon. Have you watched Vampire Diaries?
No.
You missed the canonical experience of becoming a millennial.
I am a West Wing watcher, One Tree Hill, other stuff like that. I'd never watched Vampire Diaries. It just wasn't in my repertoire.
I love One Tree Hill, but you know what? I really didn't like Peyton. I liked Brooke.
I would agree.
Brooke was awesome.
Team Brooke.
Yeah, Peyton was like a bland character to me.
So very vanilla.
Yeah. Anyways, now that we've... But so, like, the reason why I'm mentioning this TV show is, one, first of all, I do not understand why I'm a 30-year-old, almost 31, turning 31 on August 7th, woman. And probably when this episode airs, I would have turned 31. So, 31-year-old woman. Why am I losing my everlasting shit and like waiting for every Wednesday at 10 in the morning to see the new episode that drops of season 3 of this stupid TV show where it starts with teenagers, right? And it's like a teenage love story. And obviously now they're like in their 20s or whatever. But the point is that there is this girl who, by the way, is so toxic because like she was in love with one brother her whole life. Then they like dated for a hot minute. Then he got sad and depressed. And then she basically demanded way too much from him. And then he kind of like let her go. And she went and started dating his younger brother. And now she can't choose between the 2 brothers because she's, in this like pretty long-lasting relationship with the younger brother, but like is definitely still in love with the older brother. And I'm totally team older brother from the perspective of me having a psych degree and analyzing these books, okay? But also because I recently realized the older brother looks, sounds, and just has the general traits and personality of my boyfriend.
So what you're saying is you have a type. Got it. Check mark. Okay.
I do. Oh, I have such a profound type. But also, like, he's just like, he's dark and broody and like depressed and has like things to work on, but he's in therapy now. And it's like nice, My whole point here is that how did we get into merging pop culture and reality here? So one of the actors who plays one of the brothers is a Trump supporter. And here's the caveat. Yeah, but here's the caveat to that. It's like first of all, again, as I said, people are losing their everlasting shit about this, right? Like every time I open TikTok, at least 10 TikToks in a row are about the summer I turned pretty. And it's never teenagers talking about it. It's always women like us, Rima.
Oh my Lord. There
will be like, people start their TikToks with like, I'm a 35-year-old mother of 3. And I am so invested into this and I'm team this one, right? Mm-hmm. So there are people divided onto two teams of these, like two brothers, like Team Conrad and Team Jeremiah, right? And now people are using like Gavin what is his name? Like the actor's name, Gavin.
You've got it. Mm-hmm.
They're using this guy's politics, which is evidently being a Trump supporter, against his character.
Oh, dear Lord.
And they're also taking him as his character. And they're merging these people into their characters. And that plays a lot into like what we were talking about in previous episodes, right? Of how like people feel like the entitlement to your life and to your privacy and to things like that. So I see a lot of people, like for instance, going onto like the TikTok for the official TV show and being like, oh, like I no longer support like blah, blah, blah because he's a Trump supporter, right? Like no one knew that when they were casting him, but also like his character has nothing to do with his politics, right? Or going onto his TikTok or any other cast members' TikToks or their spouses or girlfriends. And they will like go, for instance, on like one of these boys' like girlfriends' TikToks, and they will write something like, "Oh, I'm team like the other brother," and it's like she's a real girlfriend of a real actor. Like she doesn't care if you're Team Jeremiah or Team Conrad. Like, what are you doing?
I'm noticing a terrifying trend of people being unable to separate reality from fiction.
Yeah,
and it's getting worse with stuff like AI. Like people can't even tell fake AI generated images from real images anymore. And this is like, maybe this is a very like wild tangent, but I will absolutely say I'm fundamentally against AI because I'm worried about the fact that we are having trouble distinguishing reality from fiction or like not something that's not real. And this is now spilling over into pop culture, into TV shows. Like that's scary for me. It's like, guys, like, a character is played by an actor. It's kind of like when Heath Ledger could not separate himself. He went so deep into the Joker's character that he could no longer separate himself from the character.
Well, there are a lot of examples of that. Like, I did not watch the Game of Thrones. I know I'm going to catch all the flack for it.
I only watched like 2 seasons, so we're good. I understand completely.
But one of the actors was so good at playing a villain that people were like stalking and harassing him in his daily life that he quit acting for like 10 years. And he actually just made a comeback like last month or something because he was one of the most hated characters on TV. And people hated the actor for portraying the character because he did such a good job. Yeah. And it's crazy.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane.
It is insane, but it's also like insane, to see like people use again like this like the actor's politics against his character, right?
Yeah.
And it's insane to see people take bits and pieces of the TV show and insert them into these people's actual lives.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me, outside of the fact that, like a bunch of 30-year-olds are like invested
into a very vapid TV. Well, it's escapism,
so it's
in
not
the
vapid.
purest. Okay. Like maybe that's just me. I use the word vapid a little bit too freely with certain things, but
okay.
I will say, I think it's a route for escapism because reality is pretty rough right now. So like investing in a TV show.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like that's, like, I know that I'm like slightly too depressed for my liking for my taste,
I feel you on that.
when I'm invested in TV shows, because it is a form of escapism. But 100%. I also think that it resonates with like millennial women so much because the book was actually written in like 2007 or something. So when we actually were teenagers, and I think that like love stories these days and like TV shows these days in general, like they try so hard to have like a unique plot because, you know, everything has been done. And this one is kind of like, it's very easy. Obviously, it has elements that are very modern. Like one of the brothers is bi, which is also like a thing that they've literally mentioned once and then never came back to. So like, you know, it's kind of like a trope. But like they have like a lot of modern things, obviously, but it's still like a very easy plot line, right? There is a girl, there's two guys. She can't choose between two guys. They happen to be brothers.
Right.
But also like psychologically, again, everyone is talking about, it's like one of the biggest discourses on the internet is that like their mental health, how like, you know, this one's manipulative, this one's toxic, this one's bad, this one's working on his issues, this one isn't working on his issues. And while I agree, again, from like the standpoint of someone who like overanalyzes characters psychologically while they're just like written things and like not real, I want to say that the girl is the most toxic bitch on the planet. Like, no matter what happens, if you dated one brother, you do not go to dating another. Unless, like, maybe 10, 15 years have passed and your relationship wasn't that serious. And then maybe you meet, like, this person's brother somewhere in public and you're like, oh my God, you know, we have this, like, connection. You don't go from dating a brother, breaking up with them, and then dating the other brother. Like,
I have fundamental issues with this as well, but like at the same time, it's like the audacity, you know? And I wonder sometimes too, if like, you know, there's this trend for like romance novels and like women, you know, the book talk thing that I don't quite understand because I don't have TikTok. I'm a dinosaur. I live on Instagram. No. But this book talk thing, it's like book talk on TV.
Okay, but Rima, book talk is a bit different.
Is it? Because I have no idea.
People that read book talk are interested in like dragon people romance or like elf people romance. And like very sexualized, like super like
See, I just lumped them all together and I just assume that it's the same thing because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with this. It's like this like microcosm of information. I'm like, this is the same thing. This is like where my autistic brain goes, it's all the same and just like lumps it together.
No. So this is like a totally different thing. And the reason why I know how different it is because like, so when Masha was sitting on this couch last season, at some point, I accidentally saw one of my ex-boyfriends on TikTok as book talk husband because his wife is an author and she in fact writes novels.
Fucking hilarious.
In elfology and like whatever.
Oh my God, and elfology.
But so like he or she recently came up on my FYP again and they're like doing incredibly well as like they have a large following and they're growing and thriving and I'm so happy for that, but it's just also like a very strange thing to experience.
I can imagine.
So book talk is very different.
Okay.
If anyone needed an update on my ex-boyfriend, he's doing fantastic and they're growing their social media and she's doing great. So that's book talk. This is like Amazon Prime has found their niche because they have been releasing TV shows that all have like a similar premise where it's kind of like teenagers in way over their heads and like lots of romance and like whatever.
So like Hallmark movies have like cornered the market on Christmas movies. It's kind of like the same situation.
But it's the new era.
I see.
Because genuinely, I think like most of the popular movies on like or TV shows on Amazon Prime have either summer in their title.
Oh my God.
Or like something that has to do with like these like type of romantic things that are kind of like infuriating, but also
of love. Yeah.
Dude, it's like what it is. It's like it's kind of like a hate watch, but not really because it's easy enough of a watch, right? That you can like relax to it, but it's also infuriating enough to like hate watch it. And I've been convincing my boyfriend to watch it with me because like he's French and his commentary on everything in general is just so freaking funny. And he promised that he would. Well, like we had a deal that I was going to do something and that he was going to watch it with me. And he still hasn't.
Oh, well, you better make good on that deal because I want to hear about it and hear how funny it is later because I need entertainment in my life.
Like part of me really wants to create a channel called French Boyfriend Reacts, but he's never going to agree to it. But he doesn't understand the potential that he has for stardom.
But believe me, I have two friends that are French. One of them is a very good friend of mine. And just the way that they react to things it's a constant laugh. Absolutely. It's for me, I'm always laughing. Yes.
Okay, like French people can speak in noises, but also like it's just his commentary is so like, you know, he has this like long hallway in his house. And so whenever he's like really not happy about something, like I'll show him like a dress and he hates it, but he's trying to be like nice to me, right? He will pace from the kitchen to the living room in that hallway, and as he enters the hallway he will start saying what he thinks, and then he'll disappear in the kitchen, then he'll come back and he'll be like, no, I don't even mind it. And then like as he's like going back, he's gonna start giving,
but I hate it. I'm just I'm being nice, but I'm saying that I actually hate it while I pace up and down the hall.
I showed him shoes at some point that had like a circular heel, and he was like, what is this, a decadent French pastry?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I quite like them. And he just like, no. And he was like pacing and explaining why. So like, I just think it's like, you know, those people that have like channels where their like Italian boyfriends react to food.
Yes. Or like the mispronunciation of certain things, like,
the
you know,
POVs, like, and it's just, I don't think he understands
Oh,
how
it
many
would be
people would like
so
enjoy his
moody French boyfriend reacts. Brooding French boyfriend reacts. Even funnier.
boyfriend.
Yeah, it'd be very
broody boyfriend.
Broody boyfriend reacts. It'd be very
I'm
funny.
kidding. Oh my God, he would hate me. Like he would legitimately.
But it would be funny.
Yeah, but he would disown me if I like.
Fair that we can't have that.
Well, I mean,
Right,
like
Maeve?
he would be okay with probably me posting some stuff on my TikTok, and then I guess like if he saw the positive, like the positive stuff that it would generate, like maybe he would be okay with. He's just like, I think like, you know, he's a journalist and he's a frontline journalist, and I think that he just like would want to be taken more seriously. Таня, на чому ми зупинилися, не пам'ятаєш? Team Damon or Team Stefan?
You're asking me or her? Oh.
Thank God.
І ще хотіла сказати, що от ви зараз сидите, обговорюєте, а такі питання нас в той час, коли був Деймон і Стефан, взагалі не їбали. Кого які травми, хто який токсичний, хто який не токсичний. Ну, взагалі, ми просто дивились серіал і кайфували.
Таня, а можна ти це з субтитлами вставиш таки в епізод? Because she brought up a good point. Like, this was a good little seg, is that, you know, like when we watched stuff about Damon and Stefan and vampires, like take away the fact that they're vampires, but no one gave a fuck about how toxic both of these men were to this woman.
Yeah.
And how like she was in high school and they were like, well, I mean, they were thousands of years old, but also like clearly way too old for her in general, right?
Of course.
But now we were watching these TV shows and we were like, this guy has this mental health issue and that guy has that mental health issue and this one's toxic and that one's bad and that one's this. It was just like one hot brother and another hot brother, and we were just worried about whose abs she was going to end up with.
It's true. Well, because now mental health is like so much more on the forefront, right? Like there was, so again, as a late diagnosed, like, you know, autistic woman, you know, with ADHD and some OCD, it's like I didn't find out till I was like a lot older. And so so many things made more sense, right? But like now it's like there are reels everywhere for how to handle, like understand ADHD, mental health, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have that.
Oh, but I want to say so much about that because there's so many TikTok people that post like videos and reels and that they're not experts on anything.
Agreed.
And
The other side of the coin is dangerous.
Yeah, and as someone with ADHD diagnosed, and as someone who like knows a lot about mental health because I in fact have a psych degree, and as someone who knows Dr. Inna, who's this like amazing Ukrainian woman who debunks all of these like online, she's so funny. She has this like particular personality, and someone will be like, these are the signs of ADHD and like an adult human, whatever, and she's like, no, they're not.
Yeah, that is factually wrong.
Yeah, and she talks about how like, yeah, sure, like this can be a manifestation of that, but like not on its own, and it's not nearly as easy as like you think, because now everyone online is diagnosing themselves with ADHD, OCD,
and trauma, and the
PTSD,
list goes on.
yeah.
CPTSD, everything.
And people throw these words around so easily. It's like, okay, my boyfriend is not diagnosed with OCD officially, but like having enough exposure to, again, like to psychology and having enough exposure to people with OCD, I'm 99% certain he has OCD.
Yeah.
Which is actually such a funny thing too, because like I'm ADHD as fuck and I'm so disorganized, and he's OCD as fuck and so organized, and one of the biggest things that we're terrified about is like merging that, because
Yeah.
I know he hates so many things about how disorganized I am. And I will just never live up to that.
Now
because I know
imagine
myself.
having ADHD and being OCD. It's hell. Like I'll put it that way. When it's in one person, like because it's like
Yeah.
disorganized organization, like or like it's organized chaos.
Well, I have organized chaos.
Yeah.
But then again, like I also know, like, you know, for the OGs who have watched me since the beginning of my TikTok, we've discussed my clothing chair on many occasions.
Oh yes, the clothing chair. I have one of those.
Well, now I have the clothing floor in my apartment because I
Yes.
don't have a chair in my bedroom. But that's the thing where, like, I know that I can actually take these things and, like, I can, you know, like, these are the things I am like willing to work on and change about myself because I know they're ridiculous, especially if, like, you know, if it comes to like coexisting with a partner or something, right?
Yeah.
But then there are things that I know, like object permanence, where like I can't have things put away onto shelves
Yeah.
because if they're not in front of me, they don't exist. So anyways, this was such a seg of mental health little things.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like we're diagnosing these characters because now it's like popular. They're buzzwords, right? So like instead of like just saying, "Man, he's really hot," and I really hope that she hooks up with the hot guy with the great abs. It's like, man, I wonder why he's like this. What kind of trauma could he possibly have had to like? Am I wrong? Like it's literally like we're watching these characters. Like he totally had an absent father. You know, shit like that.
I mean, they did have a really shit father, and it is, yeah, okay, but it's like actually shown in the show, okay, and his shittiness is shown in the show, but like I will say that I am personally not rooting for the character with great abs and like big arms and the bluest eyes on the planet. I'm rooting for the other guy. I'm rooting for like the skinnier, scrawnier, tall. Does that remind you of anyone?
Gee, your bias is not showing anywhere. Like
Okay, but I also understand how he became the way that he is because I understand his inner traumas and how his mother's death affected him and how as a teenager his coping mechanisms were very bad and now he's working on them. Okay, I'm not projecting at all.
Yes, but you're qualified also because you have a psych degree.
But also to be fair,
Miss Ma'am.
But also to be fair, like even if I didn't find him to be a better character simply because he just totally doesn't remind me of like a specific person
Not
at all.
anyone.
I would still be rooting for him no matter how, even if he was like the most toxic person on the planet and he was the worst character, I'd still be rooting for him because he like just looks like my boyfriend and I can't do anything about it. I hope that this episode was like interesting for people because I think it was like a lot more lighthearted than normal.
Oh, totally. Which we need sometimes. Like I'm running on fumes in terms of like working and doing a lot of projects in addition to being, you know, enlisted. And so like I'm very brain dead at the moment, but this has like this particular podcast, this episode, I loved it because I get to just kind of like whoosah and like just talk about something that's like not so serious all the time.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, this is a good one, especially at the like at this time of night. I think it'll land on the right ears, and I think we still covered like some good stuff. So yeah, if we want to leave you with any wisdom at the end of this episode, it's please do not merge characters and their real life avatars. I'm totally not talking about anyone in particular.
No, that's not pointed.
Because we're humans. However, the fact that Gavin, whatever the fuck his last name is a Trump supporter is absolutely so freaking horrifying.
That is sad.
Because if you're a Trump supporter, I don't necessarily, you know, I like that you're in a special category of people.
Yeah, special with a small s. But
like for some reason, I thought this was going to go in a very different direction.
I'm trying really hard, like, yeah, like just to not like totally put the knife in, but like in general, I agree. Like, don't try. You have to remember that like there are like normal. This is a fake character. It's a fictional character with real people playing it, but those people are not that character at the end of the day. So like, we have to be able to differentiate what we're watching, and like, you know, and that goes. The same thing goes for like what influencers post. Their reality doesn't necessarily reflect the actual reality of the situation. You know what I mean? So like take things with a grain of salt and use your best judgment.
Yeah.